Continuing the journey?
Continuing the journey.
Continuing the journey.
I don't even know what episode this is. 26, 25, 20 something.
Let's go with 26. I like 26. 26 is a good number.
We decided to continue the journey part of our playlist of the videos because
it's really good for you to watch, if you've watched the whole thing, to kind of go all the way there to see
to know what's going on still.
Yeah.
Because the journey does continue. And as Lee always says about the fairy tale movies.
Yeah, happily ever after. What does happily ever after look like? Happily ever after looks like total surrender.
Right.
And I guess, we've done a bunch of videos outside of our journey to kind of help piece together what the journey is. But I think some of it can be incorporated back into the journey. I think that's why we decided that this is very important for what that dialogue should look like, or what that outcome should look like, or even what kind of picture we paint now versus the disaster or the masterpieces we call our journey, and what it looked like then. So, communication.
Oh.
The communication now, because you could see, if you watched from the beginning, how broken it was and how we were not trusting telling each other the truth, how we were having ideas about what this actual connection was, where we were trying to force the other to to kind of just go along with what the other person wanted, when the other person didn't really know what the other person wanted because we didn't tell each other.
We were doing a lot of assuming.
Yeah, I would imagine, that part of this connection is probably very, very powerful because it has a belief system all to its own, and that belief system came from, it's inherited.
Right.
One of the things that I think we really stay in the practice of now, more so than ever before, as we keep going and we keep putting out there how everything is what we're seeing and what we're doing with healing others and helping others be fully connected to themselves. We have found that there is this communication that we have that we really haven't had the opportunity to share. And it's a communication that helped us incorporate the family structure, the way the family looks like a mixed bag of apples that looks like they all get along. And that part's true. We're all mixed fruit, just kind of living together. I'm the banana, she's the apple. And when you put it together, you've got an apple. I don't know. But it seems to work. Yeah, I don't know. It seems to work quite well because our thinking, we're not looking to make the thought right or wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We definitely have a blended family. And,
we do.
And I've got 4 and Lee's got 1, but they really are brothers and sisters. And my 16-year-old and his son literally banter back and forth like they were raised together.
Yes.
And our kids are now, 2 of them are 24. My daughter and your son's 24, and then we have a 23-year-old who has the grandbaby.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have my 16-year-old, and Cameron is the 8-year-old. So it's kind of exciting around here most all times, except for during the day when we're working, and we work a lot. They don't want to be around for that.
Well, yeah, and that part I think is great because it separates what we know we're here to do versus what we get to spend when we get to enjoy our family. And that's not to say we still don't have the family dynamic where you're raising kids, and sometimes that can be challenging. And then we still have
16-year-old girl who drives.
Yes, well, who thinks she's 25? But anyway, that's irrelevant.
That happens.
I think for me and you though, we still get to have bubble moments because we start to really see more clarity being together instead of not being together. But I think what's interesting is I think that that was kind of there when we finally made it final and came back together. It's been that kind of way since. It's been
Yeah.
more of, you know what, I can more relate now to her thought process of, this is what I see, this is what I see, and then I have to go, well, mine is this. My ability to go, mine is this, has dwindled greatly since then. It's not like trying to go against. It's almost as though I have to stand back and realize that in my mind, I may have had pictured this is what happily ever after is. And I think in your mind, you had pictured this is what happily ever after is. And then when we put them together, we realized that that's what the friction was.
Right.
And, we actually don't have it that way now. We don't create future in that regard. But that doesn't mean we don't have our moments of unconsciousness. We actually do have that quite a bit. But I think the unconsciousness, one of us has to get conscious before the other can be pulled out of it too, or at least give space for the other to remain in that state until they realize that the resistance they're having to what is a it doesn't need to be a constant battle.
Right.
And I think that's where we learned how to do surrender. Because we could see that would cause great divide. We've had some blow up times, that we've had some beautiful times, and then we've had some beautiful blow up times. And some of those beautiful blow up times is because when we finally do reach that point where we're trying to be right.
Yeah.
Right.
Ego.
Yeah. When somebody's trying to be right,
Ego.
my statement is this, and we're defending it, and we're going to stand defending it, and this is it, and you're wrong, and I'm right. I mean,
We do a good job. I feel we do a good job of acknowledging that anymore.
You stop listening to each other when that happens.
Yeah.
It's really
Or
hard to
how the other person's actually feeling, whether it's right or wrong or silly, or it is just how that other person's feeling. I think that the deeper we get into union and the more time that passes, we have learned to acknowledge or understand that the other person's just freaking going through something. And it kind of depends on the situation whether you offer space to let that person get through it, or you embrace the person. There's difference. I can tell when you need space, and I can tell when you need me to just probe and be there. You're like, okay, what's really going on?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell the difference.
But sometimes when my energy gets great, it you see the open door to come and join me. Which I think, we see a lot when we're talking to people who, I have this connection and they're not talking to me and they're doing, and you can hear them saying, I'm right, they're wrong. Right. We can hear it because we do it. We know what it is. Mm-hmm. And when you get them to go, well, if it's not about right or wrong, what is it about? And what we have found at the very end of that is I just want you to hear me just as much as you want to be heard. I want you to hear me too. So we found that there's a space in between there where you can actually practice the art of listening, which is the art of surrender itself.
Mm-hmm. It can be something very silly too. I just want you to hear me. I just want you to hear me that the load of laundry that's been folded in the basket in the bedroom, there's not one now, but I'm using it hypothetically, that's been sitting there for 3 days is bothering me. Yeah. I want you to understand that it's bothering me. That doesn't mean put it away. That doesn't mean I just want you to understand that it's bothering me. And once you acknowledge that, it kind of frees it up to put it away. Most of the time we'll do it together. It could be stuff very simple like that. We still, unfortunately, live in a 3D world. And I say unfortunately, but I also mean fortunately that we're here. We're here for reasons, and we're here for messages and lessons. But there are 3D things that we still go through. Always will.
But I think, we were recently talking about being friends when you're not in union or not with your twin. And that I think is what we have found, that being the friend part, the part of the communication that you need to have in connection needs to be one where you're not trying to make what they're doing wrong and making you right.
Right.
Or, you know what I mean? Or vice versa. And what I think we've made it a practice of doing is being able to do that. Even though the clothes have been sitting there for 3 days, by the third day I hear, I don't have 4 hands. And that,
I forgot to turn everything off.
your bowels muscles. So I don't, I can hear that part coming loud and clear. So then I'll hear it then. You know, even though if it's subtle at first, but you pick up on energy of thought.
Right.
So if I'm having a negative reflection happen to me, a resistant thought happening to me, it has a tendency to knock me out. Do you know what I mean? And I think that happens to you as well.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mike.
No. You know, the thing with us is we're together. We are together, literally, most oftentimes 24 hours a day, and we literally live in these chairs. We get up in the morning and we work and we coach and we.
But I love being with you.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I love being with you too. However, in a relationship, that would never work, or there would be so much.
I like that. That's good. That's a good way to put it. That is a great way to put it.
There would be so much nitpicking and.
Everything you do to yourself, you start doing to the other person.
Yeah, because what happens is we work together all day, every day, and then when we get off work. Wait a minute, we never get off work. When we're done,
that's not true.
Like
we have some fantastic things we like to do together. We actually, you know, Sherry loves to organize events and have, you know, do things for kids and do things for other adults. I mean, she's a very social butterfly.
Yeah, I like to
with
social.
blue and yellow wings, but she also we like to watch a lot of. We watch some really interesting shows. We watch a lot of soap operas.
We
stuff.
try to not daytime soap operas, but nighttime things. I think I know. And this is a really good topic because we got into this topic actually about a month ago when I had brought to Lee's attention. I said, you know what, the weird thing is I was catching him coaching, and I was catching him. We would leave the office and just go sit on the couch just to vegetate and be mindless. And I mean, I think because we watch the show Friends so much that you don't even have to think about it. You know what's coming next. And it's funny. So we spent a few months watching the whole series again. But for you the first time.
Netflix and chill. That's just like.
Right. But what I was finding that we were doing was watching a lot of self-help shows, a lot of Dr. Phil, a lot of talk shows, a lot of shows where people were asking for advice and help. And then I would say, my God, we're still working. Because you would say, well, you know what, this is what I would tell them. And I'd be like, yeah, oh, how I'd love to have that person. And we would do that. So I think what we do now is to get away from actually working is we sit and watch those soap operas and watch people's lives play out.
We watch Empire.
Empire.
We watch, If Loving You Is Wrong.
Yeah, Have and
Have-Nots.
Queen Sugar.
We watch Frequency. What else do we watch? Too Close to Home.
Too Close to Home?
Yeah.
Sorry.
But that one, yeah, there's no acting in it. That's all pretty people. You crack me up with that. He can't act worth a lick.
He can't act at all.
As she stares. I'm like, really?
He's a very pretty person, but he cannot act.
He can't act.
We probably shouldn't put that out there in case he's watching.
You're not even watching.
Sorry, Brody.
You're really
Your
not
acting
even watching.
skills are bad.
Well.
But we love you, so just keep doing what you're doing.
But we should probably, I mean, we watch, we like watching, we watch the Country Music Awards, we watch the Soul Train Awards, we watch a lot of award shows. We watch a lot of We've watched concerts.
Fix your ear if you're going to be on camera.
Yes. Hi. Come and say hello.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Say
And
yes.
there's Jen.
I broke my collar, so it's got to be fixed. Daddy hasn't fixed it yet. But thank you for
Now
coming
she's
to
naked.
say hi.
Now we have a naked dog.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Tell everybody about your life. Say they beat me every day. That's what you
Yeah, it's
tell them.
horrible. She has a horrible
You
life.
actually get to abuse us while we sleep. We never get the bed. You get the bed. Yes, we're talking about you. But thank you for coming to visit.
You look pretty naked.
Yes. We'll talk to you in a minute, okay? But we actually do that, and we go to Cameron's hockey games, and I'm telling you, Cameron is a beast on the hockey rink.
Yeah.
It doesn't take him more than 30 seconds to check somebody across the ice when he's too
8.
young to be checking.
It's 8.
8.
We do. I do enjoy his hockey games. We do a lot away from work.
But I think the work, though, it changes. We shift so many different gears of work.
Yeah.
Because we'll do anything from root camp to class to helping a child to helping some homeless person. I mean, we do so much. I think by the time it comes to Lee and Sherry time, we've done it together.
Yeah.
It's like there's this recharging effect that even happens while we're doing it.
I really feel that I don't want to step on. I don't want to say the word true twin. I want to say the word authentic. I would say that if you're connected, that you really do want to be with that person. It enhances the connection
For who they are.
Yes.
I think that's the big
Right.
thing. Because when we first came together, who I was versus what you could see I was were two different things. And you could see what I was, and you were trying to convince me that I was.
Right.
You didn't and then you finally had to just kind of go, he's going to have to figure that part out on his own. And even with that letting go part, yet when you had to come back in, you had to let go of the part that said, this is who you really are.
Right.
And you let me take the steps to find that. And I think that's what happens with a lot of that space. The space that we're having and being able to be together is that space never left.
Mm-hmm.
You let me do my journey within myself just as much as I let you do your journey within yourself, and then we can bring it together. But it's when, you're better than this, you shouldn't do that. And what are you thinking? We're supposed to look like this. I think a lot of that is not there.
No.
It's not there. And I think that happened before union could even happen anyway, because that's a part of the reason you don't tell the truth to the person you're connected to.
Oh.
You just don't tell them that truth because you have that expectation of who they're supposed to be to you, but you're not saying, I have an expectation of who I'm supposed to be to myself. So part of it gets lost. And then you're saying, well, when you become this, I'll become that, and then we'll come together.
Right.
Instead of going, I need to become this. I need to become
To conform.
this. Yeah.
Conform.
Or to match.
You know what? That's interesting, because a lot of people and a lot of you out there do try to conform. I did, and I know that a lot of people do. I want to be what you want me to be. Right? And that didn't work.
Mm-mm.
That didn't work. I wanted to be who I am.
Right.
And some of that's not great.
But in my mind, I was telling myself who you were supposed to be, who you're supposed to be to me, what our life is supposed to be like.
Yeah.
And that was my doing. And the connection didn't care. The connection actually got stronger, saying, you're not getting it. And a part of it falls back on you, right? Part of it says that on the inside of me, I'm probably not good enough to have her in that way. And I'm thinking you're saying that, and that's never the case. Right. And then I have these dream states of what this was supposed to be, but then I had the dream states of what I was supposed to be, and I had to choose. Yeah. If I kept pointing at the one that said this is what this is supposed to be, I'm waiting for you to do work.
Right.
If I dream that this is who I'm supposed to be, and I do that, then I'm doing the work, right? I'm doing what's actually supposed to be in place for me, because I can't share with you what I'm not in my dreams.
Right.
If I don't make my own dreams for myself come true,
right,
I have nothing to share. I'm waiting for you to fix that. I'm waiting for you to become that so I can too. That's not that.
Yeah.
That was probably the biggest Easter egg that we didn't see.
Freedom, complete freedom. What happens is we have total freedom to be who we are, who we really are.
Yeah.
And it can change daily, right? Last night, I was a little fed up. We had little teenage issues, and I was a little fed up. And to the point where, the cycle had continued with my daughter. And just, it was just something very simple, like 3D issues, like curfew time. And I was done. I was done. And I know that you knew that I was done having this conversation. And it's not that I was emotionless. I was just emotionless when I was finishing talking to her, because I had been through all the emotions and I was done. Really just done. Final with the conversation that, these are going to be the consequences should this ever happen again. And where normally he would be like, okay, you might be going a little overboard. You might be, and a lot of times, and he would take her in and talk to her. But this time, I noticed that he knew that I had give this girl many chances to follow the rules, and then she continues to, and she's a great kid. I couldn't have asked for a better teenager. She's a great kid. It's just a curfew issue. And but I could tell that Lee could feel that I was
past
there with her and this cycle. And so instead of Lee saying, okay, let me mediate, he didn't do that last night. He said, you know what? Your mom's given. Now I have to have her back and back this up.
I always tried to soften the blow.
He did,
And the thing was she got to the point where I could feel that this is what she was counting on.
Yeah.
And I realized that maybe at this point we both have been conned, and I realized, wait a minute. And I started to feel this energy because she gets to have all her behaviors get to stay the same, but mom's got to change.
Right.
And this is also something that's genetic, and we pass this down.
Right.
But at the same time, there's a point where you can tell the bleeding needs to stop, right? Yeah. Because at some point there's so many casualties on the war field, and nobody's out there, that even the nurses and the medics have now been wounded, and they can't help the wounded anymore.
And I want to do some videos, especially on blended families and twins in union and being in union,
trying to bring them together,
and how we work that out. And how it meshes together instead of divides. It really does come together. The energy brings it into a peaceful, loving state instead of divides us with your kids and my kids. It really is a blended family of. It just is a big fruit bowl, right, like you said.
Right.
And I want to do a video on that. I'd also like to do a video on. Getting past the 3D past. That's very big. Because what happens is there you can't get into union. You just can't if you're holding on to 3D past. Well, in 1995, you did this, and in 2000, I could start in 2005, and I could do videos all day on what Lee did, and I'm sure he could do the same on what I did, but. There's a lot of letting go and a lot of forgiveness, and knowing that we can't change the behaviors that we made, which is the reason why we can sit here next to each other now, is we know we can't go back and change the past, but to be able to accept the fact that we can't do that and to move on from it and not hold each other accountable for the bad decisions that we made, and not continue to go back and dip in that pool and throw it on you. Like, well, then that day, and I'm still holding on to this. That's not present.
No,
it's not present in
but
our.
But that goes deeper, because You never see the creation of the psychological mind that uses psychological time.
Right.
So then you kind of get stuck thinking that's who you've become. And we're actually, we've talked about what we're going to do with the connection reflection series. And Sherry and I have really given this some kind of going back and forth, kind of within us what that actually should turn into. Because we could see the great need for it. And we enjoyed doing it because we started doing classes to help people, twins, and people in connection. They could come into this class and actually we would talk about abandonment, and we talked about rejection, and we talked about those things, and we got to hear it from each individual viewpoint because everybody has that individual story that created the psychological mind of time.
Right.
And being able to help them navigate through it, you can see the changes. And we're really thinking that this should be much more of a global class, a class setting where you can interact with us and actually really get some answers to some of the questions you have in your own journey. Even though your journey may not look like mine and Sherry's, it doesn't mean that our journey didn't have its teachings, that we could actually help you see something from the other side of it.
Every journey is different. Our journey isn't going to be your journey, and you're going to have different things that happen. You're not going to go. They may be very similar things, and you may have, when you watched our journey, found some very similar things and emotions and things. But the reason for the continuation of this journey is because the journey continues. It keeps going. We're in union. We're always going to be in union. It's a final. It's a final thing.
Yeah.
We're in union. There is no option for disconnection.
Yeah.
It's not there, and it's just not. But there was a stepping stone where there was, like, I'm done. I can't. Even after we came into union, and that's gone. There's so much to talk about. We don't want to keep you much longer.
No,
We're almost at 30 minutes, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose your interest. And
if
you're watching this in the summer, we recorded this in Christmas. So there it is.
Yeah, we really kind of did.
We love you all.
Yeah, and thank you for 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for, if you've just now recently found this, or you've been watching the journey over and over again, because there was so much in it. And we did it from our vulnerability. And we're going to continue to stay in that vulnerability. We're going to continue to stay humble. We're going to continue to be there and reach out to as many of you as we possibly can, because if we're not showing you the connection from the inside, then what are you going? It makes it impossible for you to understand that you have to change this connection inside out, not outside in. And that's very tricky to do.
Yeah.
And when we told our journey, we wanted to make sure that's the part that you would get out of it. Because it's the most important part. If you get the inside right, the outside falls into place.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. On that note, we are out, and we love you all. Thank you for watching.
See
and
you
we'll
soon.
just keep going.
All right. Bye.